Should you pay off your debts first or invest your money? This is a question that so many people face. There is so much conflicting information out there, and the truth is that getting this decision wrong in the UK right now with interest rates where they are and following the wrong advice for you could cost you hundreds of thousands in the long term. Notice that the keyword I said here is for you. Honestly, the standard advice is usually dangerous for you to follow without applying it to your specific situation. Some money gurus tell you that debt is evil and you must be at zero. Others tell you that inflation is eating your cash and you need to invest every penny. So should you overpay your mortgage, save money, clear that loan or credit card, or put everything into your ISA? You've probably been told to do all of these by different people, and the issue is that any of these can be wrong depending on your specific financial situation. And you have to be careful of listening to people giving one-size-fits-all solutions to this. It's a question I've been asked a lot, and one I had to answer for myself as well, having just bought my first London home, which used up so much of my savings and investments. On one side, you have money gurus like Dave Ramsey screaming that all debt is evil and you shouldn't invest a penny until it's gone. On the other side, you have finance bros on TikTok telling you to leverage everything and to buy crypto. Both of these are extremes. As a former asset manager with a finance degree, I'm going to take you through the most professional way to go about it. Hi, I'm Dahlia. I spent 7 years working in finance in the City of London, and today I'm going to show you the mathematical answer to this question of should you pay off your debt first or invest, so you can make the right decision for you. Stop wasting money and time following standardized advice and make sure that you're on the right path to getting on top of your finances. Let's go. In asset management, we use RAG reports, red, amber, green, to classify risk. We are going to apply that exact same discipline to your debt today. Let me introduce you to my debt traffic light system. The first thing I want you to do before we get into it is list out every single debt that you have and write down next to it the interest rate on that debt. If you're not sure how much it is or where to find it, they're usually hidden in the small print on your credit card statement, which you can download from their website or on the app. And for loans and mortgages, this should be on the paperwork. Now, rank the debts from highest interest to lowest interest, and we're going to run it through my debt traffic light system. First is the red light. This is any debt with an interest rate above 7%. It usually includes credit cards, overdrafts, and expensive personal loans. The rule here is stop. Do not pass go. Do not invest. Let's look at the maths. The average credit card interest rate, or APR, in the UK has reached record highs, sitting around 35 to 36% as of the time I'm recording this video at the start of 2026. You'd be hard-pressed to find credit cards with rates lower than 25%. Compare that with the returns that you get from investing, where historically the stock market returns about 8 to 10%, but that comes with volatility. The verdict? Paying this debt off is the mathematical equivalent of finding an investment that pays you a risk-free 35% return. That investment does not exist. If you have debt in this bucket, do not invest. Kill this debt immediately. Next is the orange or amber light. This is debt between 5% and 7%. This is the danger zone where most people get stuck. This could be your car loan, standard bank loan, or a higher rate mortgage. The rule here is to proceed with caution. The maths on it is if your debt costs 5% and the market's returning 8%, you're technically making a 3% spread by investing. This is called arbitrage. The risk is that in a bad year, the market could drop 20%, but the bank still demands their 5% repayment. The verdict? This is a gray area. This is where it's best to make a personal choice. If you have a very aggressive financial approach and really want that extra 1 to 3% that investing, overpaying off your debt will give you, then you invest. If you want peace of mind, you pay the debt down. We'll calculate exactly which one you are in a minute. Finally, the green light. This is any debt under 5%. This is cheap leverage, most likely a fixed rate mortgage or an older student loan. The rule is go. This is the green light for go and invest your money instead. The maths on this, you can currently get around 4 to 5% just sitting in a cash savings account or money market fund. The verdict, if you pay off a 4% loan early, when you could be earning 5% in cash or 8% investing in the market, you're literally losing money. Mathematically, you should pay this off as slowly as possible and let inflation erode that debt for you. Okay, so now I'm going to go into a little more detail on the different kinds of debt out there and approaches to take. The traffic light analogy is your top level info. Now let's have a look at the different types of debt in turn. First off, we have the toxic debt. This is the no-brainer. When deciding whether to invest or pay off your debts, there is one type of debt where the decision is made for you. Currently, the average UK credit card APR is hovering around 35%, which is absolutely astronomical. In practice, this means that if you have £3,000 on a credit card at 35%, that debt is growing faster than almost any legal investment on the planet. The stock market historically returns about 8 to 10% globally. If you invest while you have this rate of debt, you are essentially losing at least 15% up to 27% if you decide to invest instead. It is mathematically impossible to out-invest a 35% interest rate safely. Now we have the gray area, mortgages and student loans. This is the hard part and where most people get confused on all of the choices that they have out there and they're not sure what to do. The confusing gray area is cheap debt. Most of you watching might have a mortgage fixed around 4.5% if you're in the UK, or a personal loan around 7%. This is where we have to look at the cost of waiting. Let's run a real UK scenario to see what this decision actually costs you. Let's say you have a £185,000 mortgage at a 4.5% interest rate. These are the UK averages of how much people on average borrow for a mortgage and how much interest they pay current day in the UK. Let's look at these numbers, no vague theories, just the raw maths for a UK homeowner in 2026. Mortgage of £185,000, interest rate of 4.5%, with a term of 30 years and a monthly repayment of £937 on the principal and interest. Before we look at overpaying your mortgage versus investing, let's run the numbers of if you didn't overpay your mortgage at all and just made the minimum payment every month. Base mortgage with no overpayments, still working with the same numbers as before. The total amount that you're going to have repaid by the time the mortgage is fully paid off is £337,428. Of which £152,428 was purely interest. Now let's run our two different scenarios where you have a spare £500 a month. That means your total wealth building budget is £1,437 a month. Let's see how two different people spend that same £1,437. In scenario 1, you are the mortgage crusher. You pay the minimum payment of £937 plus an extra £500 every single month. Your total monthly outflow is £1,437. The time to clear your debt is 14 years and 8 months. The total principal paid is £185,000. The total interest you will have paid to the bank is £67,912. So the total cost of your house has come to £252,912. But here's the critical part. Once the mortgage is gone, you don't just stop. To make this a fair comparison, you have to keep investing that same £1,437 into a stocks and shares ISA for the remaining 15 years at a 7% return. The end result by year 30 is you've paid off the house and you also have a £470,000 investment portfolio. Now let's look at scenario 2, the investor. In this scenario, you pay only the mandatory £937 to the bank and you put your £500 a month into a stocks and shares ISA instead, investing at a modest 7% returns. The time to clear your debt is still 30 years. The total principal paid is £185,000 and the total interest you've paid to the bank is £152,457. So the total cost of the house came to £337,457. Let's stop here for a minute and look at the difference. By keeping the debt for 30 years, Strategy B pays the bank an extra £84,545 in interest. If you are just stopping the analysis here, Strategy A wins and you saved £84,000. But we have to also look at what the £500 did in your investments. In Strategy B, you invested £500 a month for those same 30 years at a 7% return. The total cash contributed is £180,000. The compound growth is £429,000. So the total value of your ISA at year 30 is £609,000. When looking at the 30-year time horizon, investing these same amounts of money If you invested the extra £500 and just made your minimum mortgage payment, you would have paid off your house and have a £609,000 investment portfolio. Whereas the person who made the overpayments paid off the house and now has an investment portfolio of £470,000. That is the trade-off. The overpay strategy saves you $84,000 in interest, but you end up with a much smaller investment portfolio. The investing strategy costs you £84,000 more, but it generates over $500,000 in wealth. Mathematically, the answer is obvious, but psychologically, it's a different story. The maths behind this relies on one huge assumption: behavior. It assumes that person A actually invests that mortgage payment once the house is paid off. If you're the type of person who would pay off the house and then just upgrade your lifestyle, the maths fails. And that brings us to the final test, which I'm going to call the sleep at night factor. Let's run through a similar scenario for a low interest personal loan. This is a real UK scenario for 2026. Let's say you have a £10,000 personal loan at 6.9%, which is the average rate in the UK. Your loan amount is £10,000. The interest is 6.9%. Term of 60 months. Standard repayments, so you're not making any overpayments. Your monthly repayment will be £197. The total amount you'll pay over 5 years is £11,820, with total interest of £1,820, cleared in 60 months. Now let's run two scenarios where you have an extra £200 to put into either your loan or investments. Scenario 1, you overpay your loan by £200 a month. Your new monthly payment becomes £397. Your loan is cleared in 27 months, and the total amount you will have paid off is £10,719. So you've paid back the interest of £719 and you've saved interest of £1,100. You're debt-free 33 months earlier. That's effectively a guaranteed 6.9% return on the £200 overpayments. In strategy 2, the investor, you pay the minimum on your loan and you put the £200 straight into a global index fund averaging 7%. Let's do this for 27 months to match the overpayment payoff time. At 7% annual return, your future value of your investment is going to be £5,900 from a total investment amount of £5,400. You've earned £500 in growth. Meanwhile, you would still have the full 5-year loan, pay the £1,820 interest. So at our end point of 27 months, the person that overpaid their loan has fully cleared loan and saved £1,100 in interest. Using the invest instead of overpay strategy, you would still have the loan for the full 5 years, still pay off the full £1,820 in interest. So looking at the two scenarios financially, which one wins out? So in this scenario where your loan costs 6.9% but you're making 7% in investments, overpaying is clearly the superior option. The reason for that is that short-term compounding doesn't have time to beat a guaranteed 6.9% return. For investing to clearly beat overpaying here, you'd need a much longer loan term or consistent returns well above 7%. So now we've run the maths on the 3 most common debt scenarios that I outlined in my traffic light theory. When I was working in asset management in London, I learned something important. Wealthy people don't fear debt, they fear bad debt. Rich people often keep mortgages because they know that their money is working harder elsewhere. But they also have something that most people don't, which is liquidity. If you put all your extra cash into overpaying your mortgage, that money is trapped in the bricks of your house. You can't spend a brick if you lose your job. If you put that money into stocks and shares, it's liquid. That means you can access it relatively easily in an emergency. What we've seen in this video is that investing usually wins over the long term against low interest debt. But spreadsheets don't have feelings. You do. If waking up knowing that you owe the bank £200,000 makes you anxious, then pay the debt. The best financial plan for you is the one that you can stick to. If you're the type of person who will panic sell your investments when the market drops by 20%, then you're better off paying your debt. If you can ignore market volatility and just keep buying, investing is the way to long-term wealth. So here is your cheat sheet for debt versus investing. Number 1, kill the toxic debt. Any debt over 7% interest goes first, with no exceptions. Number 2, secure the safety net. Build a 3-month emergency fund in a savings account paying roughly 4%. And 3, decide your path. If your debt is under 5%, like a mortgage, invest the surplus in a stocks and shares ISA. If you hate debt, split it 50-50, half into overpayments, half into investing. If you want to know which funds I invest in to get that 8% historic growth, then you can watch my video next on what's in my investment portfolio. Thank you so much for watching Get On Top with Dahlia. If this video has been helpful, please subscribe to my channel where I'm dropping life-changing advice every single week to help people like you get on top of your finances. Ciao for now.